Oh my God.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from the heart of Southern California. My name is Sergeant Rick Verbeck with the San Marcos Police Department, and I'm here today in Studio 66. And I'm here today with our Chief of Police, Ramon Batista. Chief, this studio is because of you. You saw our vision, you saw the need for communication between our department and our public. And I want to thank you for that. And I couldn't think of a better guest to have on our first episode than you. And
Wow.
it's bittersweet, but I'm happy to have you here because I really want to pick your brain. And I have a bunch of questions, and hopefully we can just memorialize this in a way to hear from your voice as we are today, and then as we look forward into the future. So
For
welcome.
sure. Yeah. Thanks, Ricky. I agree with you to some degree, right? That it's bittersweet. It's our first podcast, and it is my only podcast. I got to give you so much credit because, when you took over the unit, we had a podcast on our mind for a long time, and you came to the unit with a fresh set of eyes. And when we talked about a media room, you really just ran with it. And what you created here is amazing. And the podcast, I think, is just really getting started. It's got you're doing a great job in conveying the information of the Blue Notebook every week. And I think it's great. I love the visuals and the way you come across. I think that this is going to be a tremendous platform to be able to engage with the public, talk about the wins, the members of the department, and the specialties that they bring to the table. I think it's going to be amazing, and it all really came to life because you really picked up the ball and ran with it. And
Thank you.
thank you for pulling it off. It's amazing. It's really cool.
Thank you. And you'll never probably see her face, but a lot of this is because of my partner too, Maisha, and she is the brains behind everything that we do here.
Yeah, Moesha's amazing.
Yes.
Yes, that's all there is to it.
So, Chief, as you look back in your career, we can start first with Santa Monica if you like, and then we can broaden that if you like. But as you look back, what stands out? What stands out in your career here?
God, there's so many things, Ricky. I don't think I can boil it down to one thing. I still remember getting a little lost, trying to get into the building, and Officer Angie Barajas picked me up in her patrol car at the time. I think she was assigned to downtown, and she introduced herself to me. She obviously knew who I was, and got me into the building through the carport, and it was cool. I'll never forget that. I'm never going to forget the first cadet that I met was Erica Soto down on B1. And now she's an officer, so to see her growth through the last 4 years has been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The first police officer, other than Angie, that I met on B1 was Kevin NG.
Mm-hmm.
So those memories are going to stay with me forever. Like all of the interactions that I had with the officers on a personal level, getting to know their families or their situations, are going to stay with me. Getting to know the residents. The many times that I walked in the neighborhoods with folks to understand at a ground level, like what was impacting them. And then from there, coming back to figure out ways to address those concerns in a way that was measured and appropriate for the resources that we had and the issues that were pressing on the residents and the businesses. I had a lot of conversations like that I'm never going to forget. All of those moments, I think, are going to be special. It's unfortunate in our profession, but, there was also a lot of crisis that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
The fires in January, of course, called for all of us to work literally for 2 weeks straight, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And that was tough. I think that we all had our things that we had to deal with. My wife was out of town. I ended up buying black T-shirts because I was running out of T-shirts. I think a lot of folks went through some little variation of that. Of course, the thing that I think many of us have as kind of a worst nightmare is one of our officers getting hurt. And so we endured two of those types of events. When our officer was stabbed at the front doors to the station, that was a crisis for us. And then here recently, one of our officers was shot again. Thank God that in both those instances, the officers survived their injuries, but they were close calls, and they really are going to stick with me for a long time. We also had a couple of really severe car crashes with our officers, and even though they didn't happen in police cars, they happened during the course of their work, and those were really tough because they're all good guys, and it really affected me. So I guess there are a lot of triumphs. We pulled off some major protests. No Kings was the most recent one that was pretty high profile. And everybody in the community, rightfully so, was very nervous about it. But we had really planned and executed that day, I think, to perfection in so many ways. And that was the fact that all of us came together and worked to make it succeed. And so, God, I can't even tell you, give me that one time, because one of the lieutenants was reminding me today that, I hired nearly 100 new officers. And every single one of those stories that they related about what brought them to Santa Monica stay with me. There was Colleen Marconet that came to us from Torrance, California. Angela Mazadiego, she's in training right now, but her background investigator related a story to us that stuck with me, right? I mean, here is this young person who is living in the Valley in a 2-bedroom apartment with her parents and her 2 younger siblings. And Jim just retold a story about visiting the family and how this apartment in kind of like a rough area was like immaculate. And then talking to the officer in the hiring process, like the reasons why she wanted to be a police officer with Santa Monica specifically. And here's the interesting thing of like all the people that we interviewed, like so often, they only had one police department in mind that they were going to come to. And so they dedicated all their energy into Santa Monica PD and nobody else. And so that told me a lot about, why they wanted to come here. And they talked about it. They said, some of the things you do on social media speak to me. You convey that you care about your community, and that resonates for me. And I myself and the deputy chief would look at each other like, my God, the things that they're talking about is what's important. It's what matters. And you could see that they had that heart of service, that heart of courage, and was never disappointed. They've been tremendous. So a lot of memories.
Yeah, I can attest. San Marcos was the only place I put in for. Granted, it was 24 years ago.
Yeah.
But this department has always taken care of my family and I. My dad was a police officer here for 29 years before I joined, and so there's no other place I could ever think of than coming to Santa Monica, and that just speaks volume. Those moments you talked about, not to put you on the spot, is one of the main things that we, as your staff, your officers, feel about you, is that you care about us. And so when you think back on those moments, and you remember how people grew up, and you remember the first officer you met and the first cadet you met, like all throughout all ranks, like it really it speaks volume on your character. And so thank you for that. Like, we appreciate it. So that may kind of guide you into the next part, like throughout those incidents that you talked about, when we had the issues with our officers getting hurt, and then on a broader scale with the different protests we've had, or just the crime in the city, or the different communications. Have any of those moments taught you, anything additional in regard to your leadership, into your style of leadership?
I think that the biggest takeaway for me is understanding like the importance of people, and ensuring that from our leadership perspective that we're taking care of them. Because I've said so often that, our expectation, my expectation, our community's expectation, right, in this uber chaotic environment that the officers go out and do their work, that they got to get it right like 9.5 times out of 10. And I know it sounds like what profession is expecting that level of a failure rate that is so low. I mean, obviously a surgeon, pilot, and a police officer is way up there. And the reason for it is because literally the public's safety and lives are at stake, and we want them to get it right. When a resident calls 911 and they get a Santa Monica police officer, I had this vision in my mind of who was going to respond, right? Man or woman, dressed professionally, responsive, representing to the resident that help was here in a professional way that represented the authority of law enforcement in the community and care and compassion. Like all of that wrapped up into this entity that's right in front of them saying, I'm here to take care of you. And I'm here to take care of your problem. And so that was the vision, and my job, I felt, was always to create the environment here in the police department where the officers and professional staff, for sure, always felt supported and guided and treated in a way that embraced them as individuals, as a team, and then and said, look, moving forward, these are the objectives, right? Take care of our community. We're going to give you all the training, all the equipment, all the care in the world. But the expectation is that you go out there and you take care of one another and you take care of the community all in one, all the time. And that's a tall order for human beings, right? Because the environment is, like I said, chaotic. A lot of homelessness out there, a lot of mental illness, instability, a lot of emotion. When we're called, it's not because something's going right. And for these young women and men, for them to get there, figure it out, slow down, and literally 9.5 times out of 10 come out with good, safe outcomes is amazing to me. And I watched it play over and over on body-worn camera video, on the feedback that I would get from the multiple resources that we have to gauge how we're doing in the community, and from my interactions with the community. You know, time and again, I got cards, I got emails, I got phone calls, text messages about the good work that the officers were doing. And that's how I knew we're on the right track. That's how I knew that we were making our way back from when I first arrived here in 2021 to literally where we're at today. Do I think that we're where we need to be? I mean, I don't think that in policing you're ever going to get to a point where you think, hey, we've arrived. Like, I think that the work of trying to get better, smarter, and more efficient and effective at police work and public safety is a lifelong journey that we always have to continue to strive to get better and better at. And the trajectory that I saw here from where we were then to where we're at today is just amazing, night and day, and it's going to continue in that direction. I think we're headed in the right direction. I think everything is pointing in the right direction. It's just amazing to be a part of it and to have seen it, and it's terrific. It's really good.
So you mentioned, I mean, it's 4 years you've been here, and you mentioned some of the things that you've done in regard to, especially hiring, due to the shortage that we've had. So, how would you describe the position of the Santa Monica Police Department now, in 2025, almost the end of 2025, to when you started in 2021?
So one of the things that I think from the very beginning, I remember this crystal clear, is that a lot of folks would be asking me, certainly within the first few months that I was here, is like, hey, like, what's your vision? What are we going to do? And I mean, I have a lot of experience, and I could see some things right away that I thought needed to be different. But what I wanted to do was take my time and talk to the officers. I wanted to talk to the residents. I wanted to talk to the business community. And from there, figure out the through line between everybody's needs and their vision for what they wanted to see in a police department. And align that with the core values of the organization, with the values of the community, And from there began the work of building a plan. And so I got asked that quite a bit, like, where are we going? What are we doing? And I'm like, we're going to get there, you know? And so we started down the path of building a strategic plan with all of those thoughts in mind. The department members and community members and their input all were a part of what built our strategic plan, because I wanted to make sure that there was a level of involvement that meant when somebody was looking at any one of the 4 pillars, which is public safety, the officers' wellness and resilience, the community outreach, and our technology, if anybody was looking at any one of those subtitles of those 4 pillars, that they would be able to identify with something that they talked about or something that had come across during the collaboration of building this plan. And because therein lies the strength and the heart of this plan, is that we all decided these things mattered. And that's why we prioritized them as public safety is number 1 and our wellness and resilience is number 2. Because to me, numbering and sequencing matter. The first thing that we're charged with is our public safety. And for me, the second most important thing is making sure that our officers are able to get out there to conduct that. And after that, it was not building relationships, because we have amazing relationships with our community, but it was the fact that I wanted to strengthen them even more. And then followed up that with the importance of carefully building technology into our systems to make us more efficient and effective. Because I always knew that we were understaffed. But I also knew that, you know, we weren't going to be able to rebuild our staffing overnight, but I knew that we could at least get to the place where we were meeting the moment more efficiently and effective with technology until we got to the point that the staffing would catch up. And I think that we've done a lot of that. Our technology has vastly improved. Our ability to drive decisions based on data is emerging and getting better and better, right? As the data gets better, and our ability to read what we're looking at and then focus the energy on those issues that are prescient is coming from that data. But the whole time we were also focused on growing the department. So we went from, I think we had 177 working officers in 2021. Our baseline staffing at that time was like 221, but obviously a lot of people were out on injury, people were retiring, and it was just a tough period. But we've been able to build our staffing from 221 to about 233. And as of a couple weeks ago, we were just very close to reaching full staffing, which for many folks is like, wow, we've never been here, never been this close. And I always knew that we would. Amazing folks behind the scenes, Lieutenant Lewis Gilmore. Heck, it started with Lieutenant Tina Greer, and now being continued by Lieutenant Frank Marnell in personnel and training. And just an amazing group of background investigators in there. Angie Barajas, Isabel, Tim, like so many people that have contributed to us having what is now a modern day recruitment platform that is going to take us, easily into the next 3, 4, 5 years. We're in really good shape, and we need to continue to build our professional staff positions as well. I know it's a lot.
Yeah, no,
I apologize.
Well, no, it's funny because it is a lot, but you still didn't even cover the real implementation of our crime impact team, the SMART Center, the studio. I know I'm missing things too. Like, you've done a lot and started a lot and continued a lot when you were here.
The crime dashboard.
The crime view dashboard?
The crime
dashboard.
Yeah.
So with all that, and you don't feel the need to say Studio 66 because we're here right now, but is there a singular accomplishment maybe that you have, like looking back now in preparation for the next chapter of your life? Is there something that?
Yeah. So our department never sleeps, right? I mean, it's constantly working, and I think about the more amazing aircraft in the world that are out there. To me, not like a gigantic aircraft buff, but I have always admired, our aircraft. And so one piece of architecture out there that always astonished me is the Boeing 747, right? It was, God, I think it was built in like the 60s or 70s. And to this day, it's still flying around the world. It still is the main plane for the President of the United States. And so in many ways, I equate our police department that runs around the clock as like this amazing airframe that we began to rebuild while it was in the air, because we never had a chance to land this amazing organization. It was always in the air, and we were always working towards making improvements. And so to be able to say there's one thing, we took lethal shotguns out of the police cars and put in less than lethal. We updated the cars, and we updated the markings on the cars to bring them to more contemporary standards. The addition of so many things that we did behind the scenes to improve the lives of the officers and thus our ability to provide public safety, like I can't quite put my finger on it. I think that building a strategic plan was not easy. It was a big challenge to get that off the ground, but I think that lays the blueprint and the foundation for the department going forward, and that's to me, I think, one of the greatest accomplishments that we all did, because in and amongst all those things, day in and day out, we had so many wins. The officers out there, the professional staff out there, just doing amazing work. And, I always get the question, well, is there more? Of course. God, there's always more that we want to do. And I think that on the pace that we're at, one day we will have the right amount of staffing and the equipment and the technology that gets us to that level. You mentioned the Smart Center. So I think that the Real-Time Crime and Information Center for Santa Monica, the Santa Monica Real-Time Crime and Information Center, will, when it opens this fall, this winter, is going to be the premier real-time crime and information center in LA County for a municipality. And I know that because I've made the rounds looking at other cities, and nothing's going to come close. Not in LA County. I think it'll be a blueprint for other cities. Large cities like LA, I think, will come and look at that real-time crime and information center and think we need something like this in every division. And again, right, something that came to be because the team found a grant and collaborated and built this amazing application that netted us $6.2 million to build this thing, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
And you have Sergeant Leone heading that, and he's a wealth of information.
Oh my God, I'm never going to forget having coffee with Sergeant Leone and talking to him about this vision of a real-time crime center and how we could do this and how I wanted him to lead the effort. And I remember him looking at me like, what? Are you sure? And he was uncertain, right? I mean, at that point, I think I had maybe a year and a half on the department, and I was still navigating my way, trying to understand everybody. But one thing I figured out right away about Sergeant Leone is like he has this amazing skill set. And if there was somebody that I thought had the energy and the wherewithal and the knowledge to go around to the country, rest of the country, look at what they had, bring back the best, and put it in place here, it was him. And he has not failed. He has succeeded at every aspect of building this thing that's going to be, like I said, the crown jewel of this kind of thing in LA County. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I hear him talk about it, and
he gets excited.
Half of what he says, yeah.
I get excited.
He gets excited.
I get excited with him.
Having those conversations with him and having traveled to see other departments, real-time crime centers, how do you see ours affecting our policing in the future? Like, how do you see our future now utilizing it versus, since the beginning of time without it?
Yeah. So I'll never forget Lieutenant Cody Green. I'd sent him to a conference on these centers in Northern California. And he came back and he briefed the command staff, and he says, like, this is early on, and he's like, I don't know how it is that we haven't started doing this, but we need to. And there began, the work to make it happen. We were entirely fortunate that the state, at the height of the robberies that were occurring at all these high-profile cities and malls, then decided to tackle this thing with a statewide grant, and we were just perfectly positioned to apply. We're a high-profile city. We were having some of those problems, and this grant is focused on taking care of our downtown core. But more importantly, because of the camera network infrastructure we were able to put into place, we're going to be able to blanket the city with not only the drone as a first responder, but license plate reader cameras and these state-of-the-art cameras throughout different intersections to give us an idea of what's occurring. So as soon as a crime occurs, we are going to be able to get on that intersection, get near that area, figure out what's happened, pick up any people, any cars that are leaving the area, and then from there begin to figure out like what direction they're going, so that we're not just going to be responding to the intersection where the incident occurred, for example, but we were going to be able to figure out, are we going north, are we going south? Greatly increasing the opportunity for us to find a perpetrator and bring them to justice if they've victimized somebody, which I think is very, very important. Some other things that we're going to be able to do, for example, we're going to be able to monitor the intersection of Colorado and Ocean, right? An iconic place where the Santa Monica Pier marquee is there. But what we don't want is for a group of cars to come in the middle of the night, set up and do a sideshow and mar up that beautiful intersection. These camera systems are going to be able to pick up something that is out of the ordinary at 2 a.m. and alert us to look at that, and therefore direct us to that before it starts to get out of control. So huge benefits to what I see of where we're going in a responsible way. If that's one thing about our department that I've seen throughout my entire tenure here, is that we've always been very careful about protecting people's rights, about being responsible and transparent about what we're doing and talking about it. Everything that we do in the center or with the drone as a first responder is going to be something that is cataloged, that is put on our website, on our dashboard, talking about the wins, talking about how we deployed, because that's the way we operate. That's what I've seen since I've been here. I was fortunate to be a part of the Police Reform and Oversight Commission while I was here, and in its kind of initial start of when I was here, and to see us move through the recommendations after May 31st, 2020, all 44 recommendations, to watch Chief Jacob navigate that along with guys like Lieutenant Sal Lucio, Lieutenant Frank Marnell, Lieutenant Francisco Franco, Lieutenant Tina Greer. Like, they did a phenomenal job of getting us through the recommendations by the Office of Independent Review. And to hear the owner of the company speak before the commission and say Santa Monica Police Department is one of the best police departments we've ever worked with. They were always working right alongside us to complete these recommendations, and we are satisfied with what they've done, was one of the greatest satisfactions that I could have. Alongside the chief and I, really just it was a long journey, but man, the chief ushered that so well, along with those lieutenants at the time in the department. Like, I remember all these presentations that we made before the commission, and always trying to figure out how to make things better.
So when you talk about making things better, talking about the Real-Time Crime Center, when you look ahead, like, what do you see with us, with the Santa Monica Police Department? looking ahead? What does our future look like to you?
So one of the things that I always had in my mind, right, was the creation of a unit within the department that was going to be dedicated towards the wellness and the resilience of our men and women. And so I got to see that. Like a year ago, Sergeant Christina Cochran took over the wellness and resilience. And at the time, the only person that we had that was really kind of working along that area was Sergeant Doug Woodhams and peer support team. So bringing in Sergeant Cochran to support the peer and wellness part, which was part of Sergeant Woodham's role, but Christina's expertise then of bringing in the wellness and resilience component of it has just taken it to a whole new level. And to see the results of that today, of how we are rolling in some of the concepts that Lieutenant Scott McGee had talked about with yoga and mindfulness, getting a grant from the federal government at one point, from the state at another point, to help us advance all those causes, to help it so that our officers are the best prepared that we can have, right? Not only have I talked about the importance of the right equipment, the right training, but the right mindset to go out there and do the work at their best and highest level, and then be able to retire on their own clock when they're ready to go 20, 25 years from now. I think that that's been amazing. And the coolest thing of all, with respect to the question you just asked me, is that along this whole journey, right, as I look forward to what's coming for the department, is the fact that the chief, Deputy Chief Jacob, has been with me every single step of the way. Every single step of the way. Like, he has spent 24 years here. Like, he knows this department, and he was with me along this journey to get things going and to now to see him being implemented. So what am I most excited about for the future of the department is the trajectory, that we're headed in the right direction, and that Chief Jacob, DJ, is coming in right behind me to keep it going, and then to put his mark of excellence on this amazing organization. I think, to me, as I get ready to take on the next challenge, I think, to me, that is one of the best feelings I have about the future of the department. Mm-hmm. And as I've been making my way around, I've talked about that. I've talked about the fact that we are poised to continue on a pathway that is just marked with excellence and goodwill. I mean, I really think that Chief Jacob is poised to do some really good stuff. I've been around him for 4 years. I love the guy, and I think he's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, hard to think. When he first started here, his locker was right across mine. Now I call him Chief. He's a really good guy.
Yeah.
I do like him. And it's great that he's been with you, the whole time, too. So just that shared vision.
For sure. We had so many conversations about the importance of policing in this country, and it was such a relaxed, easygoing conversation between us, because we saw the world through the same lens of what our behaviors should be, especially in critical incidents, especially in everyday engagements with the community. So, like, it's great. Like, I feel good about him because I know that he cares about the same things I always cared about. So we were pretty aligned. Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit now, too. I'm sorry I keep jumping ahead, but as you're talking, I just keep thinking of different things. I'm assuming, just as most of us, you have your set values and priorities. I'm sure when you came to Santa Monica, you had your set values and priorities. Did any of that change? Did anything, maybe a certain value or a certain priority that you thought would have been higher or lower on your list change now after 4 years?
I'll tell you that. Everything that I thought through. It's crazy, but I'm coming up on my 40th year of doing this. Everything that I thought in my head that we needed to begin to tackle came up in conversations with the officers, came up in conversations with the residents. and the business owners, and certainly conversations with the city council and with respect to the safety and the expectations of what they wanted. And so there really isn't any surprises. When I sit back and I begin to kind of look back at all the things that we accomplished, I mean, it is a formidable list of things, and it feels good. There's but there's genuinely no surprises. It's a really good community. I think that I've said it in so many meetings, right? This is a really good community. It really genuinely is. When I would look at the statistics of who was getting in trouble, it was a small percentage of Santa Monicans. Everybody else was visiting. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, tourists make up a very small percentage of the folks that get in trouble in Santa Monica. But it's everybody else that visits our city. I think that sometimes runs afoul of the safety that we're focused on for our residents and our visitors and our businesses. And I think that is something that is uber present in the officers' minds, because we talked about it. We talked about it so much, and I know they got it, and I know they go out there and do their best every single day. So, but yeah, no major surprises. Mm-hmm. No.
Well, so you've mentioned you've been a cop for 40 years. Has policing changed? Like, let me ask you this: what has changed in the 40 years? And if you can compare that to what has stayed the same in 40 years.
Yeah, so what's changed is obviously the advent of technology and how it's made us more effective and efficient at everything that we do. That part is amazing. What's not changed is human beings. Human behaviors, I think, are the same. And I got to tell you that I spent 10 years or 11 years or something as a patrol officer. And so that time at the line level, understanding the challenges that officers face, while at the time I started to think maybe I was missing, the promotion wagon and was falling behind. Now I realize like what a gift that was, because like day in and day out, I understand what the officers are dealing with, and I understand the issues at a very basic level as to like the disorder, the crime, like those things, don't really change. There's some sophistication that happens with folks that have a lot of time in their hands, and the fraud that, the sophistication of fraud schemes, I think has really proliferated with the advent of the web and cell phones and the technology. But the idea at this most basic level of people committing an assault, breaking in, stealing something, disorderly behavior, like those things are the same as they've always been. And our job is to be in that space to prevent it from happening. And that's always been the goal. And I think that the department knows that, and I think the department's going to continue. And when I say the department, it's the women and the men here. They're going to continue to occupy that space to prevent that kind of stuff from happening, because we are effective at that, very effective.
And to hold those accountable that commit those crimes. We've covered a lot of the past. We covered a portion of the future. I'm just curious for you, what does your future look like?
Well, that's a good question. I was raised Catholic, right? And so the thing that's drilled into Catholics is to have faith, right? And the thing is that when things are going great, faith is abundant.
Right.
And so I think having faith that I know myself, I know that I've got a lot to offer. I love this profession. It still feels like the first day sitting in briefing. As a matter of fact, for the longest time, every day coming to work here felt like the first day, because I was always learning something new. I still learn something new every day. And I'm not done learning, and I'm not done leading and making places a little bit better. So that's, I think, where my life's passion is working in this field and making things better. I just love what I do, and I'm gonna know. Like, I am genuinely gonna know when it's time to start walking my dog, and or getting a dog and walking the dog. But that's not where I'm at right now. It's certainly not where I'm at right now. I just have a lot of energy, and I love what I do. So my hope is that I get the opportunity to keep doing that kind of thing.
I'm excited to see where you put your next thumbprint on. And it'd be nice. Can I ask you a difficult question? Just because I've heard this through several of our social media outlets, I thought maybe now could be the time to ask you. In regard to immigration, in regard to our response, both internal and publicly, like your view as to, I guess, like our immigration policy.
Yeah. Yeah, so 2010 was the first time when I started to have to navigate this space of policing, public safety, with the issues of immigration in the state. And I was in Arizona at the time, and a pretty tough law had been signed into law, and it was called SB 1070, and it had been dubbed the "Show Me Your Papers" law. Parts of it were eventually, turned down, but in the beginning, it really put police and public safety square in this issue, this fight of immigration. And I recognized right away, like, how divisive it could be when the role of police officers is to build relationships in the community and build trust. And I could see that this law was like tearing us apart. And I recognized right away, like, how bad this could be for our communities, because in an ethnic minority community, like, you don't want for them to not come forward and report crimes, because then that makes them perfect victims, right? If they're afraid to come forward, then for a criminal, that just makes it like a great environment to be in. And so I didn't want that to happen. And I thought it was important for me to find that space and that balance of having to apply that law in a way that didn't run us afoul of what the law required, but yet made it so that we were doing it right constitutionally and respecting people's rights and trying very hard not to lose the trust of the community we were serving, because at the time, the city that I lived in was nearly 45%, maybe higher, Hispanic, and that's really directly who it was affecting. So that work kind of continued through that time, and leading for me to be the co-chair of the Law Enforcement Immigration Task Force. And in that work, I had the chance to testify before Congress, literally 13 years later in 2023. I testified before Congress about the importance of immigrants in this country, and looking at the other side of the coin. Sometimes that broad brush of painting everybody the same is harmful, because my experience with immigrants is that, we've arrested folks that are not in the country illegally for committing crimes, but the vast majority of them believe in the same things that we believe in. So they have a great degree of faith. They believe in the ethos of this country. Like, they love the United States. They work hard. They follow the law. They believe in public safety, and they do like order, right? It seems to me like then they want to work hard. Like, it seems to me like everything is aligned for us to have this population of folks that we should find a pathway for them to become legal citizens, pay the price of what it takes to follow the right road to get into the country, and have status. They're already paying taxes. there's like so many things that they're already doing, and so I felt that being a part of this task force of retired and current chiefs and sheriffs from across the country that advocate for common sense immigration laws, that advocate for a safe border, of course. I think that it's the right thing, and it's given me a lot of experience of talking about this. The things that we saw in early June in Los Angeles were things that I'd experienced living in a border town, right, where the federal government, DHS, has a lot of reach near a border. They can make traffic stops, based on a reasonable suspicion that they identify, but I saw the same things being applied here, and it didn't feel right based on what they had. So right away, we reacted to that. I think that these immigration raids started like on June 6th. By June 7th, we had put out a message about what our stance was, what our long-standing position was on immigration enforcement in Santa Monica, and that is that way before there was a state law in California, the officers of Santa Monica PD were not engaged in immigration enforcement. That's just not our role. And reaffirmed that the next day. And I'm proud of the fact that we did that because I think it was the right thing to do. It was our long-standing position, and I wasn't breaking new ground with that. I was following the culture of the organization, and I think one that I stood by for the right reasons. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that our city did not experience some of the things that nearby cities in LA County saw, because I think that it was pretty tough on everybody. Obviously, I mean, it tore families apart. It divided communities, and it put local law enforcement square in the middle of what is a federal duty, not a local duty. Our role is to protect the public and keep the peace, and I think that I know that here in Santa Monica, we do that, and we would always do that unequivocally. So, that was a tough period, but it just seems as though it's been a tough 9 months, between our officers' injuries and the fires and the immigration enforcement. It's been a tough period, but our officers in our department, our professional staff, have always come through and shown their care and commitment and their courage to protect this community to the letter of the law. And you asked me earlier, like, what I see for the department. Definitely see the chief doing great things, and I think what's important to convey to the community, right? I think it is that I've seen firsthand the fact that our officers are going to continue to care and love this community like it's their own family. I've seen it firsthand, and I know it's going to continue, and it's going to be just an amazing thing to watch the department grow and get ready for concerts on the pier and the marathon coming back and the entertainment zone launching successfully the way it did, FIFA and the Olympics. I mean, we will be ready. I have absolutely no doubt that we're going to be ready and in good hands. And the community will be in good hands.
I heard a saying a while ago, and I'll probably butcher it, but people don't remember what you said, but how you make them feel. And I know, speaking at our level, at the line level, how you made us feel is loved. I'd say that's probably the easiest way to describe it. From your first few days here till now. But that's just how we're gonna remember you. Is there something different or something like how do you want to be remembered as when you start your next chapter here? How do you want us to remember you?
You know, I spent the first 2 years here by myself because my wife was still in Arizona, and so I spent a lot of time with the department. So I think that while it was very tough personally, you guys were my family, and so it just made it so that I got to know everybody at the level I did, and I'm so thankful. Like, no regrets, right? Absolutely no regrets about anything. Defending the department, standing out for the right reasons to support public safety, the public's safety and our department. No regrets about that. But I think that those 2 years of just being here 7 days a week, I think most of the time, really forged this this mutual respect, I think, that I feel from the organization, and the respect that I have for you guys, because it is an amazing place, and only a handful of people around throughout the year get a chance to attend the community academy and see us from the inside, and so the revelations that they have afterwards, I mean, I wish we could bottle it up and put it out there more, but it's something that somebody's got to experience on their own. So it's a unique place, and it's amazing. It's special, and it happened way before I got here. So I was so fortunate just to be able to be a part of it and to nurture it, to the next level, and to really just be a part of the process of making us a little bit better, more advanced, and more contemporary. It's just been an amazing journey.
And if you had a message for internal staff, let's just say, but at least maybe for even new hires, if you had a message to the officers or future officers coming, or even to Deputy Chief Jacob, soon to be Chief Jacob, do you have a message to them?
It all boils down to your values and what resonates for you. If the idea of being a part of a family, of being a part of a team that is focused on public safety, that you get a chance to work in this amazing community, which I've always said it is, then this is the place for you to start your career in public safety in a place that's just really amazing. And it's for the officers that are here, I think the continuity of what you're doing, to stay at that pace, to continue to innovate, to continue to look for opportunities, to build your own path forward and your own career path. Once you set your mind as to where you want to go, then start to work towards those ends, and don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. I often tell the story about being a sergeant and applying for another sergeant's position and being turned down like 27 times. And parts of that were my fault. I maybe didn't quite understand what the nuances were for taking on another position, but I didn't let it stop me, and so that's why I think that anything's possible when you put your mind to it. And I think that when I think about the members of the department, when I think about the skill level of the 100 or so folks that we hired, and I see the potential, these are young men and women that can go anywhere in the country and succeed, and they're picking Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. So I think about how bright the future is for that, how bright the future is for them here, and where they're going to be able to take this organization forward. Right? I talked to you about this vision, and it was like, set it and forget it. Next thing I know, you went right to work and built this place. Like, that type of initiative, that type of care, throughout the organization, makes it so it'll be unstoppable. So I think that this department is going to continue to be amazing, continue to be unstoppable, and the goodwill and the way that the community feels about the department is going to stay at that level, because those are the kinds of folks we hired, people that care, people with a heart of service. So yeah, you're a part of that.
I'm part of that, Chief. I did it.
You're a part of that.
Thank you. No, honestly, thank you for that. And I do want to be mindful of your time. But before you go, is there a message you have for the public? For anything you want to say to them?
Yeah, it's been an honor to serve here. Like, I really mean that. Everywhere I went, I talked about what an amazing community it is, and it really is. The times I had a chance to meet with folks for coffee one-on-one was going to live with me forever. I remember some folks saying, this is the cool thing about living in a small city like this. I get to sit down and talk to the police chief. And to me, it was like, yeah, like this is the way it should be. Like, this is the way it should be. And so I would say a couple things. I think that for the workforce, for our men and women, for the community, I think that the demand that you should place upon your next leader, and it's Chief Jacob, is that you should be taken care of. That your needs should be first and foremost in his head, serving the community and taking care of the workforce, because we can't get the work done without our community supporting us, and we can't get the work done to its best if our members know that they're being supported through that mission, because it's not easy. Day in and day out, it's not easy. The stuff that our officers and professional staff see out there every day is tough. But the professionalism that I see through the lens of Santa Monica Close-Up, through the lens of the body-worn cameras, and through my own experience in being out there driving around with them, is that they genuinely care a lot, and they put it all out there, and we have to do everything we can so that they can continue to do it at that level and never take a dip, like always stay at that level. And that's hard to do day in and day out, but it's that's the vision, that's the goal, and I think that Chief Jacob's going to take you guys there.
Thank you, Chief. Well, I mean, it's sad for me to say, but we are going to miss you. We do love you. I want to thank you for everything you've given us, for putting your mark on this department. It's definitely not going to be unnoticed or forgotten anytime soon. You've put things into place that are going to continue for years and years. And one of the hardest things to do is to say yes, and you've said yes, and you've really put forward a lot of things are in play. And I'm excited to see our future here. Saddened also, but excited, and I look forward and I wish you nothing but the best as you move forward.
Thank you, Ricky. It's been such a blast to work with you so closely. There have been really good men and women that have led this unit. Lieutenant Aklufi, Sergeant Rodriguez, you. I can remember guys like Robert Galvan, Edgar Navarro, Carlos Madrid, Danny Melendez, Susie Lockwood. Yeah. And to see the team that you've assembled today, I mean, it's always been a really high-functioning team. But to come down here and be a part of the camaraderie is so special. And I credit you. I credit Lieutenant Gilmore, Maisha, Halima, Jackie, David Wang, like so many memories with David Wang. There was a community academy once, and I had this senior moment where I'm like, Officer, I can't remember your name or something like that. And oh my God, they caught on. So they started calling him that, Officer, oh my God, throughout the community academy. And I felt so bad because, I know David Wang. Right. He's a good dude and just an amazing guy. But Christian Tago, his ability to connect with kids, I was just telling him that the other day, it's just so fascinating and so cool to be around him, how he can talk to kids and just get their attention like that. Brandon Avila. Brandon is responsible for so many people that we recruited. And to now see him here in a neighborhood resource office connecting with the community, like that guy knows this job, man. He knows this business so well. And then there's Stephen Hollowell. You know, God, Stephen and I have taken so many pictures together. You know, you talk about a guy that always made me laugh. So many good memories. So you really have this amazing team right now, and you guys are just poised for greatness. You know, you're going to continue on this path. Lieutenant Aklufi and Maisha were the ones responsible for the Blue Notebook. But now the way that it's elevated into this visual data piece that week to week gives you a snapshot of what we're doing, and coupled with your podcast, it's just so cool. I love watching it. I stick around to the end only so I can see what kind of questions you're going to get and comments and what you're going to say. So yeah, I'm having a blast, man. And so thank you for all the memories, Ricky. I really appreciate it. You know, it's been special. It's been a great ride, and no regrets.
Yeah. And again, this speaks to you. I was trying to close it out with kudos to you, and then you just turn right around. It's like you always give the kudos back to us.
That's where they belong.
I appreciate you, Chief.
All
Thank
right.
you again.
Appreciate you.